to Woodward Wellness Podcast. I'm Luke.
I'm Zach.
I'm Egypt.
I'm Mr. Ricotta.
And today we're talking about mental health. So, without further ado, let's start. The most asked question we got was, what is mental health? So before I pick this question, we're just going to talk about what mental health is for a second. So, what do you think mental
First
health
of all, let's have the professional talk about that.
Oh, the pressure. Okay. Mental health. Mental health simply is how we feel, think, and behave in everyday life, and how healthy we feel within those thoughts and feelings. That sounds complicated, doesn't it? Mental health is... It's a tough question, isn't it?
Everything that goes on in our mind.
Wow.
Egypt just wants to.
What do you guys think?
Just looked like
Egypt, say something.
Yeah, she was
really
like,
well.
she was like,
It's physical,
like ready to jump.
And there's emotional and mental health. Emotional and mental health is keeping ourselves in a place where we feel good about ourselves, our environments, and the things we do.
It's physical.
I'd like to agree with you on that. Where I guess a way to put what mental health is the state of being of your mind, the state of being of your soul, spiritually, emotionally, not just how good you're doing, how you're handling the things around you. Because
It's a great word, handling, how you handle things.
yeah, because in my opinion, mental health goes just as much along with your being as physical health does.
Mm-hmm.
If you're feeling physically not great, you're gonna feel horrible mentally too.
I think being aware of mental health is really important. Even for me as a professional, it's hard to describe what it is. But let's go ahead and see what kind of questions people have about mental health and how we can do our best to answer them. You have a question over there, Luke?
Yes, I already picked out a question earlier. So,
Good job, Ethan.
first question. How does the mental health help us to keep being healthy?
How does the mental health help us?
Well,
To keep being healthy.
As I said before, mental health and physical health are they're one. For example, if you're sick, you might feel depressed. Would you agree?
Yes, I think to maybe simplify the question, how does mental health help us with our overall health? If we think positively, we can feel positively. Sometimes our thoughts can manifest themselves into physical feelings. So, thinking positively, having a strong sense of self, mental health can actually help us to feel better, both psychologically and physically. Does that sound okay?
Yep.
Make sense?
All
What
right.
else do we have there?
Next question. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm so weird.
Everybody Google.
So there's actually 3 questions here. How? This is really bad handwriting. How may you deal with stress is the first question. How to deal with feeling unmotivated, and how to deal with negative thinking. That's a 3-parter. So, how to deal with stress. There's a ton of ways to deal with stress. You can deal with stress negatively, or you could deal with stress positively. A negative way would be doing drugs. Positive way would be playing sports. What else was it?
So developing coping skills is something that we like. Listening to music, exercise. Those are really good things. Talking to friends. Good ways to improve your overall mental health on a daily basis.
Yeah, and the next part was how to deal with feeling unmotivated. I have a terrible way that I deal with being unmotivated. In my mind, I just tell myself, just do it, you lazy piece of garbage, just get up and do it. It works for me. Don't do that. I think that goes without saying, just don't follow me. How do you guys deal with feeling unmotivated?
You just get through it. You have the responsibility of everything in your life. You're responsible for most of it, not all of it, but you're responsible for your actions, and your reactions. So if you react negatively to something that happens to you, you're allowing it to get the better of you and just like kind of pooping on your own day,
Mm.
messing up your own
Mm.
happiness.
Pooping on your own day. That's an interesting way to put it.
Okay.
Right. Mhm.
It's like shooting yourself.
And the third one was how to deal with negative thinking. Man, I only think negatively, so I'm not a good person.
Oh.
You know what? Can I field some of this, Egypt, and you can chime in because we've actually had conversations like this. I
Yeah.
think, the two of us. But yeah, negative thinking. The value of something negative is less than zero. That's how I look at it. So if we think about something it's less than zero, it's worthless. We can dump it, and what we're left with is only positive. You know, it's easier said than done. But overall, staying positive, being around positive people, helps us to automatically think a little more positive, and we balance out our thought process, right? Balance out and to be motivated. Thinking positive helps you to be motivated almost automatically.
Like I said, a lot of the times when I'm sorry, I'm just thinking about what just happened.
Next question.
This is everyday life. We stay positive even though things don't flow as we want them. That's a good lesson to learn, isn't it? Mm-hmm.
What does self-care look like for you? Do you think in recent years the general attitude surrounding mental health has changed? If so, how? And do you have any friends with mental health issues? If so, is there anything you do to be a supportive friend to them?
I like the second question. Do you think that the attitude towards mental health has changed
In recent years.
recently? I think it. Okay, in the I guess in like, I don't know. I wasn't alive in the 90s or 80s, but I feel like
I was.
it wasn't it like they didn't hammer it as much.
Well,
And
I think back in my day, there wasn't really too much stress put on things that we were going through. You know, there wasn't labels on things. We would feel nervous, or we wouldn't be able to put our finger on what anxiety looked like. You know, and we just kind of trudged through it. But I think in today's world, it's part of everyday life, where you're not going to feel good every day, and feeling anxious or feeling depressed is something that we go through, and it's not as what's the word I'm looking for? I'm at a loss for words. There was it wasn't looked at as something negative. It's not a negative thing now. It just is, and we're more accepting of it today than we used to be.
Would you say
but
that
yes.
previously, like mental health was like it was the concept of or the conversation was more stigmatized? It was like
Stigma. That was the word I'm looking. Thank you,
oh
Egypt.
really?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think maybe there was a stigma attached, but which wasn't right. But yeah, I think and in today's world, we do have a lot of things that we can do to help our overall mental health.
But I feel like the fact that people talk about mental health so much, like we're like, worry about your mental health, talk about it. Then people like they hear that so much that they're desensitized to it in some ways. You know what I mean?
To make it almost something that was maybe not the norm, to make it so the norm that there's too much of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could also be that they don't
It
have
could
like
be.
they haven't
Could be.
they haven't found like their output yet to like if I'm feeling anxious I'll like play with something or like fiddle. Some people don't do that. Some people don't express certain types of emotions properly, so they bottle them up and then once they can't hold them anymore they just like combust or explode.
It's a very good point, Zach. You know, to find somebody who you can trust, who you can talk to, is really a key to all of what we're talking about today. And to individualize it to yourself, you know, don't worry about too much what other people think or what people say, but to express yourself is definitely the key. Without worrying about any stigmas, which are kind of going away.
Yeah.
I have to excuse myself, everyone. I have to go
Mr. Roder, get in here.
to do something else. Is that okay?
Yeah, so he's gonna leave.
Okay.
We're gonna have Mr. Roder come in, and yeah. So everybody, a round of applause for Mr. Roder. Yeah.
What the fuck?
So there's Mr. Roder. So we have a new mind to help us with these questions. New question, guys. How do I become more mindful in class?
Well,
Um,
I'm never mindful in class.
I would
I'm
say,
always like drawing or doing something. So
I would
yeah.
say it's like one of those things where one, you have to sort of kind of figure out why you're not being mindful, and then work from there. Like mindfulness, at the end of the day, it's something you have to just keep practicing and practicing and practicing. You can't just be like, oh, I want to be mindful, and then, wow, I'm mindful. It's not that simple.
I think too, kind of depends on the person. Some people, if you have like test anxiety, maybe going for a walk and then coming back, you can settle down and you'll be ready to take the exam. Or if you have to kind of stretch or walk around the room and then regroup and refocus and try that next math problem or whatever it might be. I think each person has like individual, things that work best for them, and finding out what works best for the individual.
perfect. Next question. Can I prevent mental health problems? Yes, and
To some extent, yes, in the sense that, like, you can prevent whatever you go through, you can prevent it from making your health worse, but there are some things that, sadly, like, are just going to happen that are, like,
yeah,
horrific.
like you can't prevent if someone dies. You can't prevent that.
I was
and
even
you
thinking
can't even
more so,
prevent
like,
the grief.
yeah, I was thinking even more so, like, you can be born with something, like, it could be, like, hereditary.
Yeah.
Like, if your parents have something. Like, if your parents deal with something and you end up dealing with it and it's, like, in your genetics, you can't stop yourself from having it, but you can cope.
Properly.
Yeah, I think what you guys talked about earlier, depression or anxiety or whatever it is there. It's just how you deal with it. You can utilize the coping strategies to help overcome or help you deal with whatever mental health issues you're dealing with.
One more, I think, and then we're gonna cut it off. So, last question of the day. Watch it be like a 5-part question. I can't read that.
Nice.
How do we practice mental health? What type of things we should do every day to keep good mental health? What should we do when we get uncontrollable emotion? All emotions are uncontrollable to a degree. Like, you can't control the fact that you feel mad that something happened, but you can't control how you react.
Yeah.
And what were the other parts of the question?
Well, just coming from that, I would say, like, you can't control how you feel, and that's, like, a step one to that, to controlling the uncontrollable emotions. You have to sort of kind of let yourself feel it.
Yeah, and don't be impulsive. Like, try your best to, like, keep your composure. Don't bottle it up, but keep your composure and talk about it. Maybe even write about it if you can't, like, express it in words. But you can't really control your emotions, like, to an extent. Like, you can control certain parts.
Yeah, I think it all goes back to the coping mechanisms. Whether like you just said, writing in a journal, or going for a walk in nature, listening to music, baking. Whatever it is, you got to find what works best for you and what kind of can calm you down when some of the mental health issues can kind of get a hold of you, right? Because some of those emotions and some of those feelings, can cause you some some of the anxiety, some of the things that the coping mechanisms can help you deal with.
Anyways, so that's the end of the podcast. Don't really know how to close out.
Well, we'll see what the next podcast. Maybe we could have a new topic. Maybe we can have some of the
Yeah,
stage
it
Jews.
doesn't even have to be a serious topic. We could talk about something silly, something fun. So
Maybe we could put out a survey for the
yeah,
next.
we'll actually put out a survey. So we're gonna probably make a survey.
We'll have a
That-
vote on the next podcast.
Not even that. We can have two things. We can have a survey. Just have people say what type of topics they would want, and then we pick from the topics that we like, and then we'll have you guys vote on the top 5. So, see you then.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you for watching.
That's great.